Good morning to you wherever you are out there, and it's a pleasure to have you in our company. We're coming to you with a very important press conference by the new National Party as we get ready to celebrate a wonderful milestone in the history of this particular political party. And we want to welcome those of you in the diaspora, those of you listening to us online, wherever you are, whether you're in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, and also our media colleagues on the Zoom platform. We really appreciate having you. We also want to say thank you to the media colleagues who are here with us live in studio, and welcome one and all for this occasion. Before we get into the meat of things, I want to take this opportunity to introduce to you our panel. We have with us the chairperson of the organizing committee, Oliver Nimrod. He is the chair. We have also with us a young senator in the Senate, Neelan Franklin. We have Sister Emlyn Pear, who happens to be in charge of the PRO of the party, and also, I left the best for last, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell. That's our panel here for this morning, and we are going to delve into a lot of exciting activities planned to celebrate that big, important milestone of the existence of the NNP here in Grenada. So I start off with the chairman of the organizing committee, Nimrod Oliver.
Thank you, Shama. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today as we embark on a momentous occasion, the 40th anniversary celebration of the new National Party. This year, we proudly reflect on our journey under the theme, NNP celebrating 40 years. NNP celebrating 40 years of resilience, progress, and visionary leadership, nurturing hope for a brighter future. As we gather to kick off these celebrations, we acknowledge the dedication and visionary leadership that has propelled our party through 4 decades of significant challenges and achievements. We stand committed to nurturing hope and continuing our legacy of progress as we look towards a brighter and more inclusive future. Thank you once again for being here to share this significant milestone. Let us make this celebration a memorable one as we continue to build and grow together. Thank you. I now hand you over to the moderator.
Thank you, Brother Nimrod. And indeed, that was welcoming you all to this occasion. A lot in store for us to celebrate, and a lot of great reasons for us to celebrate as well. Now, you're probably saying 40 years has been a very long time, and the NNP has been with us, some may say, since time immemorial. But nevertheless, there's been a journey that started out at some point in time. And in any journey, there's always some historical context. So I'd like for Dr. Mitchell to join us at this time, just to give us a little brief history of the party on its way to this 40th anniversary. Dr. Mitchell?
Thank you, Shaman. Of course. Let me, welcome members of the press who are with us here physically and those who are on the virtual platform and this morning, and to say that I feel a sense of privilege to be part of this historic session here this morning, and to say that given the fact that I literally, in terms of position of leadership in the party, that I'm the longest serving member of this party over literally 40 years. But to give you a brief history, the party was formed in 1984, and at its first convention, the party elected Herbert Augustus Blaze as its leader, and Keith Mitchell as the general secretary of the party. And subsequent to that, the general election in 1984, in December, the party won 14 out of 15 seats. We only lost St. Andrews Northeast constituency. The party ran government for literally 5 years, four years plus. And 1989, with an alien Mr. Blaze, the party elected Keith Mitchell as the new leader of the new National Party. The election in 1990, subsequently, with the problems of the party went through, we lost government and we won 2 seats only in the parliament of the country. So NNP was in opposition from 1990 to 95. When the election was held in 1995, after winning only 2 seats in the election in 1990, we were able to bounce back and won a government with 8 out of the 15 seats in the parliament of the country. The party went into government and ran the country for literally 4 years. And in late 1998, Dr. Raphael Fletcher, who was then the representative of the Tongue of St. George on the NNP's ticket, he resigned as a member of the new National Party. And subsequent to this, as Prime Minister, I called the general election. Some people expected me to try to continue in government for a while, and I indicated then that the office of government and the prime ministership and positions in government is not for NNP. It's about the people of the country. I threw it back to the people and said, you have to vote a new government. The people accepted that responsibility and gave us a sweeping victory. In the elections of January 1999, we won all 15 seats. Then in 2003, we won only 8 seats, and we literally had not a very strong government at the time, but we stayed in government, continued development of the country for another 5 years. And in 2008, the National Democratic Congress, led by led by George Brezan, it was George Brezan, and formed government. Tillman Thomas, formed government then in 2008 and ran the country for 5 years. NNP was in opposition then with the seats that we received by the population. And again, NNP worked his way back with hard work on the ground, and in 2013 we won again 15 seats. And again, as you know, we won 15 seats. Again, it's the first time in the history of the Commonwealth that any government, in any parliamentary, free, democratic, and open system, that any government would have won 15 seats consecutively. And of course, as fate had it, in 2022, when the election was called, we lost government, winning only 6 seats to be in opposition. So here we are in opposition, preparing ourselves once again for governance of this country going forward.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mitchell, putting things into perspective as we move along on that particular journey. At this time, I want to invite the PRO, of course, that's what she is, Emmeline Pear, Honorable Emmeline Pear, Member in Parliament for the New National Party, to speak to us on the importance of celebrating this milestone and also reflecting on some of the successes of the party and your experience, because you've been there quite a number of years along that journey, and your involvement as a party member.
Okay. Thank you very much, Shama. Thank you very much, Shama. That sounds like a lot, and I'm going to try to make it very concise. So I think this is a tremendous milestone that must be celebrated. This is an awesome time for the New National Party, and celebrate we will. Because when you look back at even the emergence of this party, you would see from where it came. And I, in the back of my head, as I continue to think of the relevance and the importance and the contribution that this party has made, you cannot remove, and Dr. Mitchell ended with the word rescue. If we go back to the party assuming government, you would think back, this was not very long after invasion, intervention. NNP was there. You go forward and you think about the financial crisis that NNP inherited, and we're talking about 2013, elected into government. NNP was again there to turn things around, tremendously so. You talk about COVID, you talk about Hurricane Ivan. It has always been the New National Party there for Grenada. Every step of trial, tribulations, and every time there's a crisis in this country, it has been the NNP. And I believe there's so much to celebrate. The contribution, too many to mention on this occasion, but we can summarize that. The social and economic transformation of this country, credit must be given to the New National Party. So when I listen to some persons and, without thinking and obviously concluding that people know better, when it's said NNP has done nothing over the last 30 years, 40 years, I mean, one has to be not in the right head to say that. Because when you look back at the history of this country, there's one political party that would stand out in terms of the magnitude. I'm not going to say no other party would stand out, but in terms of the magnitude of its contribution to this country, it must be NNP. For me, you mentioned, my period of service in this party, and I am sure Nilon would share exactly the same sentiment. This party is embracive of young people, right? I joined this party at about 27 years, 27, and not long after, I was appointed in the Senate, a young person. And you look thereafter and even before, you would see how this New National Party has invested in young people in so many different ways. Grassroots young people, marginalized young people throughout the length and breadth of this country. But for me, I hold a very special place in my heart for this party, and I'll tell you why. When I was asked to join this party, at the time, it was referred to a government and a party that was hanging on a thread, 6 votes holding it in office. And I made the decision to resign as a public officer to join this party. And I believe every young person, including Nilon and Sister Kate and Sister Kendra and all of those who would have joined at a very youthful age, would have done so because they saw and was totally convinced that this party really does care about this country, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I do recall those youthful days of yours moving into politics as well. And as I speak on that note, we have with us probably our youngest member in the Senate, being a member of the New National Party, a young man who has had his media sojourn in the past and who we are very proud of. And that is Nilon Franklin, if I may say honorable. He's a senator. And we invite him as part of this panel discussion. He's also a member of the planning committee because we must ensure that we keep the youth with us at all times. And I just want to throw this out to him, the importance of being involved as a young man and other young people being involved in the NNP, and the opportunity for you to become a senator at such a tender age in your life. How does that resonate with you, Nilon?
Thank you very much, Sister Sherma. And might I say good morning to Brother Nimrod, Dr. Mitchell, and Sister Emlyn, and to my former media colleagues. Morning and welcome, and to the viewing public, all Grenadians, good morning. This 40th anniversary of the New National Party, to me, is quite significant, momentous, and I feel a sense of pride, privilege, and honor to be a part of the New National Party as we celebrate 40 years of existence in the 50th anniversary of Grenada's independence. I made the decision to join the New National Party when I was, 24 years? Like Sister Emlyn, I was a public officer. I was quite comfortable as a public officer. And I made the decision to join the New National Party, not when it was in government, but while it became the opposition of this country. And in reflecting on the decision, I thought about the history of the party as Dr. Mitchell outlined. The party came into existence after one of Grenada's most troubling events. And every major crisis thereafter, it was the New National Party, and as Sister Emlyn pointed out, to rescue and save and govern Grenada in such a way that all of its citizens were able to benefit, to develop, and to exist in a way that didn't compromise their health, their security, and their education, their economic situation also. And that, to me, was one of the main reasons why I decided to join the New National Party, because it shows a party that cares about Grenada, a party that, as fate would put it, God allowed to govern Grenada in those critical moments. As a young person serving in the Senate and representing the New National Party and the young people of Grenada, I think it is important to share my experience and to encourage other young people to get involved. In this, the 40th anniversary of the existence of the party, it shows, one, in my view, true stability. It shows a party that is strong, has been strong, and will continue to be strong. And that is why I am a member of the New National Party. All young persons, you may not want to get directly involved in politics, but there are other avenues for you to get involved in voluntary service, in community service, and so on. And all of these contributions, it might seem small, but incrementally, it would add up to contribute to a greater and more prosperous Grenada. And that is the goal of myself and, of course, Sister Emlyn and every other member of the New National Party. And I feel privileged, as I said, to be a part of this august institution of the New National Party and to serve alongside Dr. Mitchell, Sister Emlyn, Brother Nimrod, Sister Kate, and others. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Neelam. What a heartfelt discussion or description of your tenure within the party, indeed. So, folks, we know that we are here basically to find out all the great things that are going to be happening going forward as to the celebration of this particular milestone. And once again, I refer back to the chairman to give us some meat, some of the various activities, not all, there's quite a lot that is going to be taking place of interest so that you yourself can be engaging and be a part of the celebrations for a 40-year anniversary. Nimrod?
Thank you. So as Sister Shoma indicated, it's quite a lot activity. The New National Party planned activities for the whole year. So there were quite a few that we already engaged in, and we do have some going forward. But so we had activity in March. We had a fun family day in March at the Grand Mall playing field. We had a formal event, a garden party, that was on April 1st. And Mother's Day just went. As a party, collectively, we did have the constituency organize different events for the mothers, because we know we have to honor and cherish our mothers in this nation. May 25th would be our youth panel discussion, and we have some stalwart young representatives in the New National Party that would be discussing a number of topics, including crime, sexual abuse, violence, Youth vulnerability, bullying, and drugs and peer pressure. On June 30th, we'll be having an elderly bus ride. That will be a island-wide national bus ride for elderly in the various constituencies. July 14th, a massive bingo. I think the ad speaks of $100,000 in cash and prizes and a car. So if you're looking for that car, that's the opportunity to come out and support and partake in the bingo. So that would be July 14th. Also, around the middle of July, the New York chapter of the New National Party would be having a banquet and a massive town hall. So there will be that would be taking place in New York around the middle of July also. So we incorporating everyone. Then we, in August we have some activities, but the one I want to highlight is we're doing a massive back to school drive for young people as they prepare to go back to school in September. So the party will be undertaking that. November we going to Carriacou. And that will be, we'll be having a church service and a memorial service for belated brother, Elvin Nimrod, who, as we know, was a stalwart member of the New National Party. In Sunday, the 24th of November, we have a praise and gospel concert. 30th November, we have another banquet that we'll be inviting everyone to come out and partake. And the other one I want to highlight is at the end of the beginning of December, we have a women empowerment forum. I think it's very important that the party shows support and encouragement for the women in our society. So we'll be having a forum specifically geared toward that. And I will just mention it, but I know Sister Emmeline would elaborate more on it. December 3rd, which is D-Day that the NNP took reins or took power or came into government 40 years ago. We'll be having a massive mass rally on that day. And that day, we have designated to be NNP Day. So December 3rd would be NNP Day. Thank you, Sister Shama.
Thank you very much for that lineup. Of course, as he mentioned, there are several other activities that will take place during the months ahead. A lot of you are already aware of the annual carnival fete that takes place. That is also down on the agenda. There's something in there for everybody, the old, the young, the in and between. And let me just say this, the celebrations of the New National Party is open to every living Grenadian. You don't have to be a member of the NNP. We're not interested in your political affiliations. We are opening this. It's a celebration of a party that served you for 40 years. And as Dr. Mitchell admitted here today, he has been the leader of that party for 30 out of the 40 years. And that in itself is a big milestone, I would say. But nevertheless, just to continue along, we now move back to Dr. Mitchell. Now, in those 40 years and in your 30 years as the shepherd, if I may use that word, there's several milestones that has happened, several benefits that Grenada would have received within that time. And we're talking about a number of areas of development. And I would like for you to basically mention a few of those things. We know where we came from. We know the road we traveled and all the goodness that came along the way with the NNP. So give us an idea of some of the things that took place, the developmental things that took place within those years, Doc.
Thank you, Chairman. Of course, let me just make a little joke out of this to say. And on the 3rd of December, we will be having. We want to see all members of the press wear an NNP jersey on that day. No matter what political affiliation you have, just for one day, we want to see you associate yourself with democracy and freedom and so on, which NNP. Friends, let me just make this point. This to me is a very happy day in many sense. You know, you see my whole demeanor tells you that. Sometimes I listen to people who, some of them are just not even born. Some are just maybe creeping at the time or fighting to walk. So, and they say that nothing has happened in Grenada since 1983. I shudder when I hear this. I said, where were these people? They must be in the womb of the mothers or something, or clearly not in yet around. But you know, I want to mention this word transformation for what it's worth, and to say and that word has been overused. Transformation in any area has to be a major a movement from one area to another. Otherwise, it means nothing. If you're going to transform something, it can't be where you are accepting what you receive and just add into it. You have to make something innovative and new, and that you will see you're transforming to another level. They've NNP through this several decades. It was about 35 years that I've been leader of the NNP. The NNP has made tremendous transformation in the lives of the people of the country. Whether it's in fact roads, the transformation has been enormous. I recall coming here in 1984, and I mean, I felt bad for myself. It was like a certain Californian spoke and said there were road in the hole, not hole in the road. You remember that Californian, guys? Soka Boka. Yes. In the case of telephone, I've been living in America trying to make a telephone call to Grenada. It was like fighting with somebody. You're taking few minutes waiting for the person come online, and they could never get connection. When they get the noises on the phone would make it difficult, not audible for you to hear. And in 1985, when we started looking at the electricity, because I was a Minister of Works and Transport and so on, so I was Minister responsible for public utilities, the telephone and so on. And the PRG then bought, prior to the end of the revolution, what you call a crossbar telephone system from East Germany, you know. At the time that the system was archaic, the world was moving into a digital system, and PRG was buying a crossbar system for telephone. All the massive equipment was in Grenada, and some of them was scattered all over the place, because it has clearly outdated. So we had to move and try to do something about the modern telephone system. So I together with Prime Minister Blaise and others in the government then, we made contact with several governments and international agencies, Canada, the United States, France, Germany, all our friends of the New National Party, and so on. And the Canadian government, through Northern Telephone, gave us the best deal. So we entered an arrangement, and that's where the whole question of the first digital telephone system in the region came in. Grenada was the first one. People don't know the history. That's transformation, friends, and so on. So that system was installed, and the Prime Minister then of Canada said that he was alone. And within a few years, they canceled loans, so they turned out to be a grant to that entire system that we got initially in 1985-86 was given as a grant by the Canadian government through the work of Northern Telecom and so on. Then we came to the issue of electricity. My friends, only 45% of the country had electricity in 1985. Only 45%. Those of you who are enjoying electricity today, you know, many of us did not have it. And the Minister of Electricity did not have electricity in 1984, my friends. So we decided to do a survey. If we're going to start to look at how we can bring electricity, if you just did it on the basis that the minister bring it to Happy Hill first because that's where he's living, if you bring it to another village first, they're going to say it's because of some connection with friends and supporters and so on. So we decided to do a survey of the country. And we said we're going to do it on the basis of the housing population in that particular area and the ability of the people to be able to pay for the service. There were different criteria, so several variables were used. And I want to mention, Munich and St. Andrews came up to be number one. So Munich was the first country village, my friends in the back wave a hand, from Munich. They're the first, remember you had Munich Lights, what do they call it again? Festival of the Lights. Came in Munich every year, the anniversary. And I mean, I ate more roti and food at that evening, or fed for so, on the first occasion. These were great times. By the time the NNP came out of government in 1990, 95% of the country had electricity. And friends, let me say this to you. We did not get a loan from anybody. We used the Grenlec through the auspice, the hard work of the management and chairman on the board, then the board of Grenlec, and the workers, the local workers in Grenlec. The history of this country has not been written properly, you know. Some stalwart workers, some of them names need to be put up on a historical calendar of what these people did. They worked together with no loans from anybody and no grants for put. And 95% of the country receive electricity in just 4.5 to 5 years. That is the state that of development. When we talk about transformation, that is real transformation. You know, because I studied at A-levels, representing Grenada cricket and Windward Island cricket and so on. And I didn't have electricity. You know, it was Masanto. I'm dark already. Well, all my nostrils became darker. Masanto and so on. So that history. Well, when you talk about water, my friends, Nila living in Brazil. No, I was born in Brazil. And friends, we used to drink water in the bushery, in the river. There was no pipe water in Brazil. No pipe water in the early days, in the 60s and so on. So when the pipe was brought in by the GLP, by the GNP government, then before our time, I remember the people of Brazil were mainly Gary supporters. 99% of the people in Brazil were GLP supporters. And I remember GMP came up there after bringing the water, and the people tell GMP, take his so-and-so water. At election time. That's the stories of Grenada. It's rich in many ways. The joke, the things you could laugh at, but there were serious statements being made. So when we came in, the question was bringing potable water to the homes in Brazil and so on, and we had to work on this. I was minister responsible for water, and when you had a dry season hit in December, going up to May, June, there was no water. The most fights we had in the village as little boys and girls growing up is when you wake up 4 o'clock in the morning to go and get a bucket of water, and you see 40 people in Molinier and the pipe in Molinier, And the next thing, a Bajan come and he decide he going past all of us and going to full up his, so fight start. Usually that's what you saw. The history is sort of something special in a sense. That's why I'm making this point, to make people understand what existed then and how we transformed this country. And I remember not having water available in my home myself, and not getting water. I used to come to town by George Maguire, who was living in where Bishop was living. Then Georgie was living in that place. I used to come and full to pan of water to go up to bathe and cook and so on. And friends, I never forget this. Driving up to Concord one day as Minister for Water, while we can't get water to drink, in which I saw people bathing under the pipe. So I said, well, I came back in the ministry and said, well, get the engineers, get people from Nawasa. Why is it so? Look at Brizan is right there, Concord is right there. Why? And they explained the whole technical things. And then we started the whole question of trying to bring water to the whole of the north of St. George's, not just Happy Hill, and all not St. George. So that's why even now parts of St. George's is getting water, because the whole system was going to be transformed. We start buying pipes and so on to bring water. Friends, that was about 1989, friends, 1988, 1989. Do you know the NDC government came in 1990 and they stopped the project? As if this was Keith Mitchell water. You know, it's some of the mindset that we had in those days. You know, I'm only stating that not to criticize anybody, but just to give in the history. It was only when we came back into government in 1995, the project was restarted, and that's why we have today. Friends, even in the wet season when rain is falling, the people of Montmorris could not get water. 1-2 days a week they got water. You know how they got it? They cut off all the water to Brizan, Happy Hill, Boucherjou, all the to Fontenoy, Grand Mall, because Montmorris is above the not the flat section of our terrain, so the water, the pressure can go up. So only on Saturdays and Wednesdays of the week, the Montmorris people would fill up their tanks and prepare themselves for another 4-5 days of not water flowing in the taps of the homes. So that is the history. So the water was delivered throughout the length and breadth of the country in those days because of the hard work of the workers of Nawasa, the workers at Nawasa. These workers are some of them, as I mentioned, with Grand Lake workers. We forget them, but without them, without their hard work and commitment, we would not have had the services of water that we have in the country over the years. So as I said, I'm very happy to express those views and give you some really jokes about the life in those days, what it was like, and where we are today. So I think we want to remember, not just those of us who served in government, we led the process through policy, but our action by themselves would never have seen the services of water. The workers need far more praise and remembrance of their service than we, as those of us leading in government, should be. People might see us, they might forget the workers, and that's why I'm making the point today.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mitchell. You really took us down on a journey there, reflecting. You have to know where you come from to know exactly where you're going, to appreciate what we have today. And in spite of our water issues, we have come a long way as it relates to water supply across the nation. I want to turn to our sister Emlyn Pear. She's the PRO of the party, and basically for her to reflect a little bit on the theme, let us know what the theme is, and the rationale behind it, and of course speak a little bit about that glorious day that we are going to be celebrating, our 40th anniversary in politics, the 3rd of December, as mentioned by Emlyn. Nimrod Oliver, the Nimrod in Carrick who gets to me at times. Sister Emlyn?
Our brother Nimrod Oliver.
Yes.
And our brother Elvin Nimrod.
Yes.
All right, so the theme is NNP celebrating 40 years of resilience, progress, and visionary leadership. nurturing hope for a brighter future. And Shama, I think all that has been said so far really captures the theme, right? Our party has been around for 40 years, and through thick and thin, a lot of thick, and the resilience, obviously, as Doc would have said, not just of us and the members of the party, but our people as well must be captured in this resilience, the workers, the progress, all that we have achieved. And Doc would have outlined quite a number of them, but I just want to quickly mention, only a couple days ago, somebody was speaking about the educational landscape in this country, which has changed dramatically, drastically, because of the hundreds and hundreds of scholarship opportunities that persons have been receiving over the years. Just to add to the infrastructure, the cruise ship terminus. I mean, when things are not going too well, people look out to the seas and they're praying, the vendors are praying and hoping that the ships would come in. The tourism and what it has done for tourism over the years. But as our students today are doing the CPA exam, and many of our students, the CXC exams, many of them are online. High-speed internet in schools throughout this country is the only reason why our students today can sit those exams online, can take those exams online. Online, we're talking about online payments as well, revolutionizing the area of technology and how it has transformed doing business in Grenada. The cricket and the athletic stadium, the youth empowerment programs, so many of those and what they have done. So many young people have a story that they can tell of how their lives were transformed. And generally speaking, the social development programs, so whether it's bathroom and toilet, whatever program it was, the social development of our people. So when you look at the theme, I love it because I think it captures the 40 years. The visionary leadership, and Dr. Mitchell, we want to really recognize you and applaud you for the leadership that you've provided. Had it not been for your visionary leadership, I don't believe, and I'm firmly of that view, that Grenada would have achieved what it has achieved over these 40 years. So as we celebrate, we are celebrating achievements, we are celebrating people. And so Brother Nimrod would have highlighted that on the 3rd of December, we are going to mark this NNP Day, right? And all of our supporters and all of the people of Grenada who appreciate what we have achieved as a people, we are inviting everyone to the Bushejou playing field. The 3rd of December is a day that we should mark, and really celebrating the stability, the peace and stability we've enjoyed over those 40 years.
That is into not just a nutshell, but more like a breadfruit. Everything is there and ready for the oil down. Yes, we've heard of all the plans going forward, folks. And I want to welcome the folks who have joined us on Zoom at this time, journalists on Zoom, if there are any. And just to let you know that our focus this morning is on the celebration of the 40th anniversary of the inception of the new national party leading this country. And that's where we want to keep it. So understanding that, your questions should be surrounding that particular area for this morning. So we now turn to our media colleagues. We have those on Zoom and we have those who are here in person. I would prefer, there is a mantra that those who visit your house always are given preference in comparison to those who may call us on the telephone. So we would like to give the folks who are in-house with us the first opportunity for their questions. Johnson, I see that you have the mic. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Shoma, and let me join in commending the New National Party on 40th anniversary celebration. I have a two-part question, really. I want to ask, though, 40 years is a long time. What stood out, or stand out to you as one of the major achievements of the New National Party over the last 40 years? And also, I want to ask you to tell us about one thing, Dr. Mitchell, that you'd have done in the last 40 years. And if you had gone back 40 years from today, you'd have done it differently.
But let me say this. I believe in terms of, I would say, the major contribution of the New National Party. Sister Pierre outlined significant development in social and of course infrastructural development and development as a whole. But you know, sometimes we take our freedom for granted. I can say this: whenever the NNP was in government, the public can say that they were never fearful of criticizing government or stating their views on any activities of government having a problem. And it is known that the Prime Minister of the country under the NNP from 1995 received the most attacks. And not any time did the Prime Minister or anyone within the New National Party attempted to hit back at anyone in any way that shows that they should be fearful and so on. And that to me is a major plus. The freedom we enjoy is more important than any material things that we can get. I remember during the period of the revolution, I can't forget this, I was an initial supporter of change in Grenada at the time. And I remember coming back home and a friend will tell me, oh, when I was able to criticize someone involved in the revolution at the time, at a high level, and I won't state the name, the person's not alive today. And they tell me, remember all the development that we brought, and I mean, this freedom you're talking about. I say, let me tell you something, man. Give me my freedom. Let me say what I want to say. And I'm going to feed myself. I will feed myself. Nothing is more important to me as a human being than the ability to feel free in your own society or environment. Nothing can replace this. And I want people to understand this. I mean, I see today people inviting them to a meeting, they're afraid to come. What is going on? Who are you afraid of? God made you free. Don't let nobody take it. And look at who you're allowing to take your freedom. Who's that? Where were there? Where were there? You know, I must talk very passionately about this. Because friends, and I appeal to my brothers and sisters in the society, let no one, not Keith Mitchell or nobody, take that right. There was a period in this country, you believe, you could have a certain fella on the radio cursing Prime Minister every day and still walking around the street. Yeah? No? Madison, you know that? There was a certain period you couldn't do that. But they were able to do that. Call the Prime Minister, all kinds of names. I got more names than anybody else would have got. All kinds of things. So friends, I consider this, Johnson, the major achievement. Well, I could always say that some decisions that we have taken, I can't point to just one. In retrospect, that I would say that as time goes on, you evolve, your thinking evolve, you mature in many ways. I remember getting very mad, upset, and taking it on when certain things were said about government functions and so on. I have learned, and one day a friend of mine said, Doc, you're young, you think it will change. Stop getting upset and stressing yourself out. So I would just say there are a number of decisions that we would have taken. generally speaking. And today, I mean, in retrospect, I would have made it differently. And even the time in which I made it, I certainly would have made it a different time. So I don't want to point out any one specific. There are several ones you can talk about.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mitchell. Any other questions from?
What I'm on the floor, While I'm on the floor, yes. The question of leadership must be. So you'll have taken over from former Prime Minister Hubert Blaise,
Yes.
right? And from then to today, you remain leader of the New National Party.
Yes.
Does that in any way speak to a shortage of leadership, capable leadership within the party, would you say? Or would you say the party itself is cannot find somebody capable enough to replace you?
I just want to come in here before Dr. Mitchell proceed to answer your question. I do not want us to go down to the journey of leadership convention and these issues here this morning. Remember, the focus is on the celebration of the 40th anniversary. It is his option if you so desire to answer, but we prefer that the questions are surrounded on the celebratory activities of the 40th anniversary. All right?
I understand, but
Johnson, I know Johnson well. I know the members of the press. I know well-intentioned, so I wouldn't duck.
Thank you, Doctor.
To respond appropriately. Although Shama is making a certain point. My friends, I think maybe other members may be good to speak to what has happened, because it would not be fair for me to talk about myself, really. There was no fear of Keith Mitchell to change him. That's one thing I want to make. If there was a need, in every single time the party lost an election, right, except this time, we have offered my resignation to the party. And I suppose one can glean for the fundamental reason why I have not done it this time. I am not here to tell you of my plans, but there must be a rationale why I have not done the same thing this time. So I just want to make this very important point. We recognize that the party has to move to future development and successes and so on, and that is a natural process in anything in life. And I always feel fortunate, Johnson and members of the press, that God has given me the physical strength and wellness up to this time to continue to be very physically comfortable and so on, and therefore I continue to hope and pray that I will be able to be around to watch the party grow, even when I'm no longer the leader of the New National Party. Don't know if Sister Emily, anyone want to make a comment on that particular point.
Well, the only thing I would say to that is that the leadership of the party is normally decided by the membership of the party, right? Not the general public. The general public decide on other things. And from my experience in the party's 20 years, I have seen how the members of the party have appreciated the leadership of Dr. Mitchell. As a matter of fact, I remember quite vividly, leading up to the last general elections, when Dr. Mitchell mentioned at a major meeting that this was going to be his last. I remember the response of the people, the members of the party, and how much they embrace his leadership. And so they have decided over these 40 years, well, not 40 years, the number of years that he has served in this position, they are the members of the parties who decided that they wanted him to be the leader. So I don't think it's a case where Dr. Mitchell chose that he wanted to be that long. I've always looked on with quite a measure of interest the passion with which the supporters of the party would extend to the political leader. So I think it's really a mark of the quality of his leadership, because I'm quite sure, knowing the members of our party, if he did not provide the kind of leadership he has provided, he would have gone a long time. I'm confident about that. So his leadership, the quality of his leadership, I think, is what would have contributed to the length of his stay in this position. And quite obviously, I'm sure they would leave it to him to make that decision when he's ready to transition and move on.
Let me just make one comment, one additional comment. I don't think people recognize this. I have to be pointing this out to some members of our party. You know, the only time we have lost a general elections is after a serious national disaster. First time we were defeated was after Ivan Emily hit us. And we got praise from all over the world for bringing back this country. When people came back in here a year and 2 years later, they're shocked at what the people felt enough was not done, and they made change in 2008. COVID-19, you recall, we were getting praise from all over the world as one of the best countries that handled COVID-19 in the Caribbean, right through the Caribbean. But when election came, they voted us out in 2008. So, I mean, it's the voice of the people. They say it's the voice of God, and you can't object to that. And I just wanted to make this point for what it's worth, because I think people forget those two major incidents that preceded the general elections and the loss of power.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. Any more questions from the floor? Johnson, let's see if we have anybody on Zoom. Anybody on Zoom, Mikey? Anybody? Yes, we do.
Good morning.
Please indicate who you are so we can proceed.
This is Nisha Peters, GBN.
Welcome, Nisha.
I've got a few. Thank you. What do you, as a party, what do you envision for the future of the NNP? And how does the party plan to engage and empower the next generation of leaders and activists to carry forward the party's legacy?
We are in the process of doing precisely this. We are now redoing the work and the reorganization of the party. We believe that's fundamental if you are going to be successful in dealing with the questions that you just asked, my dear sister. So the reorganization of the party is clearly important. The attempt to bring in youthful blood in the NNP is another task. Sister Pierre and a number of others has been working assiduously behind the scenes, so to speak, and plans what you see later. And I think it's important, friends, that she mentioned two things, and I think Neelan picked up on this. We always saw that we have to prepare the party for future leadership. So if you look at the people that we consistently gave opportunities in the Senate when we had chance, overcheck from 1995, you will see in each case there were a number of persons, young persons given opportunity. Many of them did not see politics as their life calling, so some of them are not longer in the politics, but they were given serious opportunity, and especially women. At one point, colleagues, don't forget, we had almost 50% of the cabinet as women, probably the best in the Commonwealth, not just in the Caribbean, in the Commonwealth. And look at even today, you have one minister of government is a serious minister, in the elected house and the opposition and the government side. One person is a woman, a young woman. So we have consistently been doing this, and we will continue to do this, and because we recognize that the party must have a serious future if it has to make. I always lament, I watch political parties, and that's something I always remember, colleagues. I might be a little lengthy on this, but just give me that minute. Eugenia Charles was one of the best leaders this Caribbean has seen. She led the Freedom Party. She's gone. The party. And you can go through the history. The GLP ran this country and gave hope to a lot of people over the years. Sir Matthew Gary, where is it today? No longer in existence. So not even a serious candidate in the general elections. And you have several cases like that in the region and over the world. We don't want to see that for the new National Party. That's my point.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. I just want to remind those of you on the Zoom that we're celebrating the 40th anniversary. The focus is on that, so we look forward to your questions being surrounding the whole aspect of the celebrations. My dear from MTV, go ahead.
Okay, nice. Good morning, everyone. Kayla Flavany, MTV. Allow me to ask my question on the protocol already established. In terms of the budgetary allocation for the party's 40th anniversary, can we get a figure for that, please?
So the budgetary allocation is in the making. I mean, recognizing the fact that there's a number of different activities, and as you would appreciate, cost is constantly thing. But soon as we drill it down to a somewhat finite figure, we will make it available to you.
Just to make the point, I mean, we are struggling, right? We're really struggling. And therefore, anyone that is who sees and understands struggle and want to help, we welcome the opportunity for help from every single person in this country that sees the need for a vibrant and continued strong new national party.
Well, Doc has made that appeal. You have another one? Go ahead, my dear.
In terms of the social media presence of the NNP, can we see more interaction on the social media platforms? I know a lot of people have been questioning that.
So definitely, Kayla, you're absolutely right. Our party has not stepped up sufficiently in that particular area, and I believe when you recognize a weakness and you can accept a weakness, it's a great beginning. So we are working on that particular area. Unfortunately, we don't have the resources that some other people have, but as Doc would have said, and I emphasize, there are quite a number of people out there who do have resources that I'm sure would want to support us as a party to continue to strengthen this area.
So is it possible we can see maybe, how do I put this, maybe a gathering where there are lots of entrepreneurs who do lots of social media engagements at my age or even younger. So can we see the party reaching out to them or the party encouraging them to come and maybe assess them and you pick, may the best person win?
And that's what I'm saying. There are many people out there with the resources, technological resources, and the skills. And we would be more than happy to embrace persons who understand what this party has done for this country and understand the importance of having this party well prepared to rescue our country again. So we are quite prepared to embrace anyone willing to support and help with that particular area.
Okay, let me just make this point. The fact that you have raised this is extremely important to me, because I believe we've analyzed the loss of the last general elections. And there are a number of factors that have been identified. But I think one of the biggest factors was we were extremely weak on the social media platform. And we ran what people would term a traditional campaign, which was not in keeping of the campaign in the technological age that we were in. We made a major fatal mistake at that time. So we will be correcting that.
Yeah, very important platform. Any further questions from the in-house folks? I guess not. Johnson, hold on there. Let's see if there's anybody else on Zoom. Let's give somebody a... Because we're getting ready to wrap up.
And I have a few more questions that I need to ask. So can I go ahead?
Nisha?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. As the party celebrates this milestone, what key initiatives or policies does it aim to prioritize in the coming years?
We didn't hear that, Nisha.
As the party celebrates this 40th milestone, what key initiatives or policies does it aim to prioritize in the coming years?
I think keep the organization of the party as fundamental. Colleagues, we lost a general election, and I keep saying this. And in anything, when you have not done well, you have to analyze and accept your weakness and do everything to change it. And that's why I say to those very few limited elements in our party that's talking about things like convention, organization first. If you're serious about NNP and want to see it successful, please understand that the organization comes before any serious decision like this. And those decisions will come sooner or later, but the organization is going to be key. And deeper engagement with the young people of the country must be a number one priority. I think this is one of the areas we lost out. So that we have to start showing the public and the young people, new persons coming forward in leadership position going forward, because sometimes we talk about leadership as if it's just the person at the top. Leadership, young people taking position and being prepared for bigger things in the future. The party has a serious role to play in showing that. That has to be another major plan, and of course, we have to build on the financial organization of the party, because if you don't have money, you have very few things you can do well, properly.
Are you going to take the last question?
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. As a long-standing member of the party, how do you reflect on the journey and the growth of the party for the past 4 decades?
With your question, he did elaborate on that, and we thank you for the ones you've asked so far. We want to wrap up.
But is there anybody
the final question from Johnson, and we call it a day. Johnson?
Yes.
A lot of things we
thank you
could
very
add.
much. And two things that caught my attention on the program of activities. One had to do with the back to school drive and media day. Can you speak to the rationale for those two events and what you hope to achieve by
So the New National Party has always had a back-to-school drive. It's something that's done annually by the various constituencies. This year, however, we want to enlarge it. We want to go broader and reach out to a lot more kids going back to school than we normally did. So that's why it's highlighted as one of the activities, because we are broadening the scope. And like Doc said, Johnson, if you we will be accepting donations. So if you want to donate or coordinate some of that for us, we would most likely we will be eternally grateful for that. All right. So that's the reason why it's highlighted, broadening it and reaching out to more families.
And the media day, we know that the media, print, TV, etc., very important to any organization. So we chose to include an event for the media, to invite the entire media. It will be not a heavy social gathering, but a meet and greet, and also to, have major speakers here to chat with the media, question the party as to its development, etc., etc. So we thought it is important, just like any other grouping of people, to interact with the media in a special way. So we're planning a day for that.
And Shama, we must say that there will be no lifting of raising or any media personnel, right? We must put that out because we don't.
I heard you. We're not lifting anybody. I don't know what that means, but we won't be lifting anybody for sure. Anyway, I just want to give just quickly a quick wrap up, and I want to start off with you, Nimrod.
So, once again, I just want to say thank you for the media for coming out, and thank you for the listening all out there. And I think Doc mentioned it, and I will reiterate it again. Even though it's the NNP 40th anniversary, all our events and our celebration is open to the public, Grenada and the whole diaspora, right? So we are not saying, we are not only targeting so-called NNP, it's open. We do know inside the NDC's NNP, right? You hear that all the time. So we certainly encourage others, each and every one, to come out and celebrate and to be part of the momentous occasion of a political party, the New National Party, serving the people of Grenada for 40 years.
Let's
Thank
hear
you.
from Nilon as a youth here with us this morning.
Thanks again, Sherma. I'd like to close by saying basically that I am not only excited about the calendar of activities for the celebration of the 40th anniversary, but I'm also even more excited about the prospect of the NNP moving into another 40 years of existence in Grenada and beyond that. And as a young person, again, I believe, given all of what is happening locally, in the region, globally, the NNP has shown resilience in the past, it is showing resilience now, and resilience for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Nilon. Emlyn, Sister Emlyn.
My closing would really have to be with my reflection as I'm sitting right here. And I think the period of celebration, one of the things the party would be doing is really recognizing those who have paved the way. You know, as I sit here, I'm just thinking, you know, I'm here because somebody was there. And, you know, as I sat there, I think back of, you know, even the founding members, people like Sir Lawrence Joseph, who have played such a critical role, even persons who are serving in direct capacities now. My dear mentor and sister, Sister Clarice Modest Corwin, you know, and all of those who would have struggled, because the struggle would have happened before we came. And as I sat here, I'm just emotionally reflecting on all of those who would have served so well. And of course, this is an opportunity as we celebrate to recognize them too.
Dr. Mitchell, I want to touch on your emotions as you make your final comment. As the one who has been there for the 40 years, I am sure there's some emotion in there on your reflections as you close.
Choma and others, let me say this. You know, when I had decided to leave Washington in 1983 to come back home, I did not have the backing of any member of my family. Not brothers, not sisters, not nobody. All my friends thought I was a madman because I had a very comfortable life in Washington. Those of us you knew, and having teaching at a very prestigious university and setting up a business, a serious consulting firm in Washington with a number of excellent scientists, and we were doing financially extremely well. Howard was just the base of contact, but the real money that we made was coming from business in Washington, working with various departments of government, whether it's agriculture. I remember going to the Pentagon to teach some statistical operational research work with the generals, and feeling because I had to go through all kinds of security checks to get to the Pentagon, and so money was not a problem. And people thought, well, why would I leave this and go into Grenada at a time when Grenada was in absolute chaos? So I took some leave from my permanent job and came home. And let me say, friends, and I remember one person said, this man has so much money, what he coming here for again? You know, it's amazing. Well, let me say this. I am less financially capable today than I was when I was in Washington 40 years ago. And that's a statement. That is a statement as Prime Minister for the amount of years. I would like that to be understood and for the point I'm making. But you know something, friends? I have not regret 1 minute of it. I am at peace. I am happy, having served Grenada, having given my all. I was not perfect. I made mistakes, but I believe I've affected the lives of a lot of people. And I go to bed feeling proud of the contribution that I have made to my country. And I just want to see my country continue to move forward. And therefore, when I go forward and I say, this is the person I'm supporting and the new National Party going forward, it comes from my belly. I am not playing games with this country's future. I will not play games. And no one could drive me and expect me to play games with the future of this country. I would only support someone who I believe, seriously believe, the future of this country must be protected. No one, friends, no one, I listen to my God in that respect, no one would force Keith Mitchell and attacking me and making statements and believe they could force me. Me? I tell them I'm like corn flying fish. Don't try that. NNP means too much to me. I'm proud to be here today, and I really look forward to the continued success of the new National Party.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mitchell, the leader of the opposition, the leader of the new National Party. I asked for the emotions, and I did get it. And folks, as we close here today, we want to thank those of you on Zoom, those of you who've been listening online across the diaspora in Grenada, wherever you've been. We also want to thank the media who's here with us this morning, and also very loyal committee members, Dr. Dubois and Mr. Matheson, for joining with us here this morning. Remember, celebrating 40 years of resilience, progress, and visionary leadership, nurturing hope for a brighter future. The theme under which the 40th anniversary is being celebrated from today as we launch here, going forward, right up to NNP Day, the 3rd of December. I'm Shuma Wells. I thank you so much on behalf of the panel here this morning for joining us for this press conference. Have a nice day. You want a picture of it? Doc, I'll put